Crimson Desert has one of the best open worlds I've played in a while. It's immersive, expansive and ambitious. Even during the first few hours I could feel myself being pulled into Pywell, not so much by the narrative but by the world itself. The settlements of villages, the NPCs, the combat and even the little creatures that fill the world feel alive and dynamic in a way that actually feels believable. I'm not going to delve into the nitty gritty straight away because I'll cover the rest of that in my full review, but for now, I'm Kate from Friendly Fire and these are my first impressions of Pearl Abyss's Crimson Desert. By first impressions, I mean my first few hours, so I didn't really get much done, and I'm not going to rush through the game by any means, but this game is just too good not to talk about. Much like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there's a real, tangible sense of freedom in Pywell, even in the starting village of Hanand. I absolutely demolished some kid at rock paper scissors, petted multiple dogs and cats, and even beat a town guard in an arm wrestle, all whilst introducing myself to the shop owners and the townsfolk and just soaking up the world. Those simple human activities made the world feel increasingly more credible. Cliff himself even subtly adds to the immersion. When controlling his character, the movement is both smooth and weighted, almost like in Red Dead Redemption or GTA. It doesn't feel like he floats about the world, even when running, jumping, climbing or flying. I can already tell that I'm going to lose hours of my time in this game. I want to get lost in it, and I don't mean being led through it by yellow paint and obnoxious mission markers that completely shatter the immersion. That's why I love the lack of handholding. You can honestly do whatever you want. You can completely veer off the main path and spend hours solving puzzles or just exploring. Obviously, the main story is there, but I'm not here for the narrative. I'm here for the world, the activities, the side quests and the exploration. Not a massive story with Game of Thrones level dialogue and complex characters. It doesn't need that. To back that statement up, take a look at Breath of the Wild. You're on a quest to save Zelda from Calamity Ganon. Easily the simplest story structure. But is that the main takeaway? Absolutely not. What is? Hyrule, the puzzles, the combat, even the cooking. That's the same as Crimson Desert, and it's by no means a fault. One of the first things I noticed during my time playing was how dynamic the weather is. It went from bright blue skies and sun to thunder and lightning, and then fog in a matter of minutes. I even had a close call with said lightning, with it striking the cobbles only a few metres away from me. While the fluctuating conditions are amazing on their own, the detail is next level. Puddles are left on the ground after a downpour, and the clothes stay damp too. When there's a thunderstorm, the ground shifts to a subtle blue before it strikes, and it's not even just like it's a small flash of light. You actually see the sparks. Honestly, the thoroughness of even the smallest, most irrelevant details are fantastic. You can tell just how passionate Pearl Abyss are about this game. I found the opening of Crimson Desert to be quite interesting. Instead of opening with a cinematic cutscene, you're informed about the state of the world and who you actually are, and then you meet your comrades, the Greymanes. Before you have time to get familiar though, you're ambushed by the Black Bears, and you experience your first taste of combat, and the lack of handholding previously mentioned comes into play once again. Rather than a full description of every type of attack, button prompts appear on the screen with no explanation at all, and force you to learn what they do in the heat of combat. Learning how to attack, parry, and heavy attack whilst my small camp was burning down was nothing short of visually stunning. The combat is challenging. Not to a From Software level, but you still have to somewhat take your time during encounters, as they can take a fatal turn fast. Just to point out, I'm in no way complaining about the combat. It's fun and it feels satisfying when you pull off that perfect parry or dodge. Small snippets of mechanics were introduced to me as I ran around the camp helping my fellow Greymanes, and I thought it was a really immersive way of introducing the mechanics, rather than isolating my character into a one-on-one duel with an immortal enemy where every new move just feels spoon-fed. I was actually living and learning all at the same time. To say the least, I'm more than excited to engage in combat all across Pywell. Now, I want to talk about the Abyss. Putting it simply, it's a beautiful place to both explore and decipher. When I woke up there the first time after being killed and kicked off a cliff by the leader of the Black Bears, it served as a continuation of the combat tutorial, this time educating me on movement mechanics, how to precision jump, crouch, climb and sprint. But when I discovered my first portal to the Abyss in Hanand, it was nothing short of amazing. Solving puzzles while standing on floating islands overlooking Pywell, soaking in the sheer size of it. I have to admit, it was a little overwhelming at first, the thought that I can explore every single nook and cranny, but it's overwhelming in the best way possible, because I know I have so much to do. Looking around, I got a glimpse at just how many islands there actually are in the Abyss, and I can't wait to explore every single puzzle before diving off and soaring back down into the vast world below. Just one thing I want to touch on before I conclude this video. I played the game on a base PS5, and it still ran relatively well. Obviously not as well as a top of the market PC with an AMD 9070, however, it still looked and played smoothly, and it didn't take me out of the experience. The only bugs I've encountered so far are full console crashes when opening up the map, and having to change my graphics settings every time I open the game. But other than that, I've had no technical issues with the game. Maybe that'll change, but I suppose that's to be expected in a game of this scale and ambition. For the majority of my first few hours in Crimson Desert, I followed along with the story, mainly to gain some kind of bearing in the vast world of Pywell. However, I often found myself drifting off to investigate anything and everything that piqued my interest. It's safe to say that I'll be spending an unhealthy amount of time in this game, because from the moment I stepped into the world, I was engrossed in it. Crimson Desert is just one of those games that will stick with you. You'll remember certain mechanics, or missions, or even just how it made you feel, because it takes a lot to get a game like this right. We've seen it in the past with KCD2, Witcher 3 and Skyrim, massive worlds that feel alive and believable, and they've all been generational titles, and so I have no doubt that Crimson Desert will join this list. If you haven't already, I highly recommend picking up this game and delving into Pywell, because you certainly won't regret it. I hope you enjoyed my first impressions of Crimson Desert. Stay tuned for the full review. It will take a while because I want to experience as much of the game as I can, and also, I just love it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and switch on notifications if you'd like to see more content like this.